What brings you to Moncton today? Why is it so important for you to be here?
The Mi'kmaq Nation has invited me. I've been here off and on for the last 30 years, primarily doing court cases based on violation of the Mi'kmaq rights. And I've been winning them all. And unfortunately, the lawyers here don't seem to know anything about their rights, nor do the judges. So I've come to help out the system. And there's a huge racial problem here, huge. And the province is going to have to learn how to deal with this. I can help them understand and learn about what the rights, not only me, but what the Constitution, right? What the 4 sections in the Canadian Constitution that I can define it. And I can also give all of the rationale of why it happened. Mi'kmaq Nation, they have the absolute title to the land here. They've never surrendered anything. And as a matter of fact, because they are a treaty, and they also have the right to make the laws on it. So, you know, this is going to cause a lot of probably headache for the province. But at some point, they're going to have to sit down and start to talk about this. You know, they're scared now. And but I'll teach them what this is all about, so they'll have an understanding of the rights. And this is where they're lost to it now. So they're doing all of these nasty racial things to try to shut down First Nations business, which they have a constitutional right to set up. You know, that's nuts. I don't know where these people come from. I mean, I don't know, these racist humanoids from Europe that run these governments, because the Mi'kmaq Nation doesn't have any representation in their government, nor do they have any representation in the federal government. So a lot of these things you gotta sit down and negotiate. But I don't think they're going to change anything in their treaties. But we're going to have to sit down and figure out how we're going to make this stuff work together, and how they're going to have to realize that even all of the resources in all of Mi'kmaq territory is owned by the Mi'kmaq people, and they're going to have to compensate them for all of the resources that they've squandered on the Mi'kmaq people. The Indian Act came in 1867. The treaties were in long before that, but Indian Act is the most, I don't know, the racist thing you can have. I served 9 years in prison as 6-year-old based on Canada's racist Indian Act. And the RCMP delivered 40,000 kids to their deaths to Indian Affairs so that they could die off at 51% death rate in those places. So that, you know, and racism is a big part of the Canadian scene. And I'm sorry, I think, unfortunately, the new Prime Minister has got to get involved in this stuff, or it's only going to get worse. And I think the First Nations people are finally starting to stand up and say, hey, this is wrong. We're not going to take this anymore. If you read Section 4 of their treaty, they can bring anything they want to sell into their drug houses that'll benefit them. That's a treaty right, and it's constitutionally protected. Besides, they don't have the legal authority anyway. The province doesn't have any legal authority over the Mi'kmaq Nation. That's their problem. So they sit down and talk. I can help them understand.
What is that before? And this?
Well, you can. This ain't going to go away. Racism is a big problem, and it's a huge problem. And folks, I haven't seen it this bad. And they may be in a race to be the worst racist province in all of Canada. And I don't know why the province won't read the law. Sort it up. I don't know. I can't get to the Supreme Court if I win every case at the lower level. What's what I'm doing? Maybe halfway across the ocean, when they were all scurrying up, they figured they had the right. But there's no legal right anyway, except that if you have pallid white skin, then the doctrine of discovery, they use that to apply, and it applies in their current Indian Act. If you look at that, that's permeated with the colonial races.
So, Nova Scotia, there's a case that went in front of the courts for a drug house selling cannabis, and a first-level judge, lower court judge, that the constitutional and treaty arguments were not admissible because the judge said it wasn't proved that when the treaties were signed, cannabis was being traded in those drug houses. So, what do you think about that argument?
It's a bunch of nonsense. I mean, you got a Supreme Court judge that says the rights aren't frozen in time, and so it'll develop. They have the absolute constitutional right to do it. Again, some of these judges don't have a clue. I know that judge, and her judgments are racist. You know, I'm telling the judges that, hey, if you're going to want to be a judge, do the right thing. Make these judgments according to the law, the way it should be. Make them, well, as one of the treaties say, make them just and worthy of the crown, the fiduciary responsibility. And they have fiduciary responsibility too. The province still has it, but they're only administrative units of the federal government. And all these issues, the feds have got to speak for them. The province is nothing but an administrative unit. They're not a state like the Mi'kmaq Nation is. All the federal government. So the feds are going to have to talk on their behalf.